Hello there and welcome to Heart Explained Therapy, and today I want to talk about something that a great philosopher said, Plato, and his story which is called the allegory of the cave. Now this was something that he wrote as a story and a metaphor for philosophy, but it's something that I've stumbled across and I absolutely love because one, it can make you not suffer if you really understand the story in modern day life now, and two, it's not just what he says it is. There's an added modern day story twist to it, which is my own interpretation, but again very helpful for not only mental health sufferers but anybody who just is attached to certain desires in the modern day world. Now let me just tell you about the story. Plato was somebody who believed very much that philosophy was needed. Philosophy is thinking and creating new ideas and seeing the world in a different sort of position, different light. Maybe an idea that's not real to begin with, but you work on it and you find out if there's any truth in it. And I suppose philosophy is having the ability to have a very open mind. Now he put this story across where basically there's a group of people and they're stuck in a very dark, cold, unlit cave, and they start a fire, and the stuff that comes through from the outside world, it comes through as a shadow on the wall of the cave. They don't know this external world exists, and they only know what they see, which is shadows. And he calls this phantoms, that their world is mere phantoms on the wall. And I like to change that, interpret that for a modern day word, which is illusions. Now, one of the days, one of the chaps climbs out of the cave, finds a way out all on his own, comes out into pure sunlight, never seen sunlight before, a few days, a few hours to get used to the light, and then all of a sudden he sees the rabbits, the foxes, the harp, the man, the different things are actually real, the nature, the plants, and everything was passing by through this gap of the cave, and the fire was sort of putting the phantom, the illusion and the shadow on the wall. So that's the only thing that they knew deep in the cave, and this was amazing, this was brilliant, fantastic. What a world, to see colour, to see life, to see a truer reality that he ever knew before. And so he goes back like most people would, and he goes back down the cave, can barely adjust back to the darkness now because he's seen the light, and he starts rambling on about this world. Now unfortunately the people in the cave who only believe in the phantoms actually think that this man is delusional, he's lying, he's gone mad, he's gone insane with the mere phantoms not being enough for him, and they plot to kill him. Now it's a very dramatic, dark story, but it's absolutely massive. It's one of the most important stories that you could ever learn in your life, and children should even learn this lesson, young teenagers, any age. For me, in the Plato's idea, I would say that he is saying that when you learn about philosophy and you get open-minded and you find out that there's a truer reality, you see that the job, the fame that you crave, the things that you attach to beforehand are mere phantom illusions, and there's a greater world to be found, and there's a greater place to feel. In fact, it's a truer nature of your being. Now, unfortunately, what he's also saying is you can't tell somebody that this place exists because they don't experience it. They haven't been let out of the cave, so the phantoms are real to them. That's the only place that exists. Now the reason why this is so important in the modern day is because one, it highlights basically a place that you can learn new stuff, open-minded opinions, break down your own barriers and see a new world, a greater, truer nature of being. And you've done this all the time. It's how you learn new stuff, but this is really taking everything your own and saying, right, I'm not sure if that's 100% real. Let's investigate and be curious. And I don't think people are naturally that curious. They have an ego that's formed and they just think that's it. The second position, which is great and helpful, or certainly helped me, when I become enlightened with positive information, and I say this now as I make a video to try and spread the news, I realised that it's very difficult to tell anybody about this place existing unless they experience it. You can tell them words, but the words does not turn into their experience of a better place, the true nature of being. So to them, it sounds good, it sounds like a lovely story, I'm grateful that you're telling me, or I'm very ungrateful that you're telling me. And what it shows is, sometimes in life you will get stuck with somebody who believes they're right, and you're stuck believing you're right. Now you know sometimes that you've been technically right, and you could go to a court of law and they could even vote for you for being right. But we don't have this to settle these work disputes or friendship disputes or partner disputes. We have to, in a way, either get very mad and volatile and run or attack or do something crazy to get our point of view across. And sometimes it's like it's madness because someone just can't perceive your response, your insight, your intellect to a good, you're making a good thing and somebody else can't see it. And this happens all the time. And then you turn that within and say, why am I so alien? Why can't I speak? And I think this just sums it up perfectly. Once you try and pass a message on to somebody else, unless they are completely open-minded, completely respecting you, like totally as if like you are important, you're a person that usually tells them good advice, unless they've got these skills already, you're going to be hit with somebody who's going to want to plot and kill you. That's the same thing that's going to take place. And this is what a lot of people do. They get a story and they preach it to somebody else, and then you become this sort of selfish organism that is only speaking about the philosophy that they know. And I'm talking about not this spirituality, this wider enlightenment. I'm speaking about just every day. How many times have you gone head to head with someone and their opinion is so polarised away from yours, and you're thinking, how can they see that reality? Now if you take a mirror, you will see that that person is looking at you the same way to, how can you have that end of the argument? How can we be so far apart? Now, is there anything that you can do about this? How can you learn good stuff? And I know good stuff, and I know people who suffer, and if I tell them that they're suffering, they don't believe it. They actually don't even know it. So I've learnt this the hard way, and I came across this, and it's very helpful. There's a few things that you can do. You know how receptive people are. If they respect you, you can comfortably tell them everything because they respect you, they will listen to you, and as long as you're not coming across as somebody who's selling them something or anything that's beneficial for you, it's just good information, then 9 times out of 10, the average person who again respects you or is just curious, open-minded, a close friend, someone you've known for a long time, they will listen. When you're hit with a very tough ego, big solid barrier, and this could be brothers and sisters, mums and dads, this can be someone who's just completely, constantly, always having the opposite opinion or seeing your actions as totally wrong. Now how do you deal with that? Well, there's two sort of objectives that you can tackle. One, you need to understand the reality that you exist in. Why is it important for you to pass this message on? Why do you need to tell them? And then most of the time you will perceive a reality that's true to you only, but not to the other person. Let's just say you think they're in pain and suffering. They will obviously be feeling this because I would feel that in this situation. You've got to understand that's not true. That's not the true reality. It's your true reality, but it's not their true reality, the other person's. So understand that fact, work within first, and see the reasons why you're passing it on, and then kind of let it go, in the sense that you don't need to tell this story. But if you think, and this is the thing that I tackle with, try and tackle head on, because I think that people suffering with mental health or suffering in some sort of pain, and if I think this is going to go on and affect their life drastically, affect their physical health, or affect their life long term, where they could achieve something in the next few months, but they're going to put it off 2 years because of fears, because of attachments, desires, stupid little behaviours that they've got in. I will do something where I will try different approaches to see what works. So these approaches are technical, sort of psychological approaches that basically educate me on the other person that I'm speaking to, whether this is even in a short conversation, this can be achieved. You can often use yourself as an example and speak about the person's emotions, feelings that you've learnt, as in, but take away it's anything to do with them. Make the experience your experience. And then you'll find that because they think you're talking about you, they will have this open mind then. They will actually start telling you how you could do things and help yourself, and then you're basically giving them this reverse psychology advice by pretending you're in the situation that you believe they're in. There's another trick that I use, which I call tough love, where I will set a target instantly into a conversation. So somebody can't do something, so I will throw them a challenge of, I bet you can't do that by next week. This isn't I don't care if they say no, bugger off, it means nothing. The emotional side means nothing to me, but I'm testing the water to see if tough love works with them. If they've got a trait in the past from mother or father where they've given them tough love, this might be the way that this works for them. And they could either say, oh, you've set me a challenge, I like challenges, I'm going to do it within 5 days, and then you know, right, that's their personal sort of trigger for positivity, that they don't get the ego defence built up. And these are all just skills that you learn through therapy, through psychology, to help others. These are the tools that I think we could use every day in life. Now, I'm going to say some more stuff in future videos, what I've learned and what I think is important. And it's a lot to break down, and I know that you might have to go back and break down what I'm really saying, because I know this stuff must be quite difficult to comprehend. But there's lots of skills out there where you can get the will that you want sort of within, and the way to change the world externally is within first. You have to change your behaviour to change everybody else's behaviour, and that's why I think Plato's allegory of the cave is a fantastic story that just needs to be pumped into everybody's brains to realise that this is such an important bit of English literature that's ever been written. In fact, Plato was Greek, so it wasn't English to start with. I'm not taking the credit that an Englishman wrote this, but just this great open-minded thinking man developed a short story that just meant such a big stuff, and even now it's ever present in the year 2020.